Okay, good morning. My name is Daniel Rodriguez. I have no relationships to disclose. Adolescence is a key period for the initiation of cigarette smoking and progression to a regular habit. Most adult cigarette smokers initiate smoking by the age of 18. It is estimated that 29% of high school adolescents have ever smoked a cigarette, even a puff. 9% currently smoke. Physical activity has been found to protect adolescents from smoking initiation and progression to a regular habit. However, it's not clear if this relation is homogeneous across all adolescents. We sought to better understand how PA affects cigarette smoking by testing for heterogeneity in the prospective relation. Participants were 1361 high school students, 50% female, 73% white, from a prospective cohort study of adolescent physical activity and smoking. High school students were surveyed in the fall and spring of each academic year. We had 8 data collection waves across high school. Minutes of physical activity per week was assessed with a 7-day physical activity recall, or the PAR. The PAR provides data on frequency, intensity, duration, and kilocalories expended. We divided PA into negative and positive PA based on the pattern of correlations with smoking across the 8 waves. Positive PAs are activities negatively related to smoking. Negative PAs are activities that are positively related to smoking, so it's qualitative. Positive physical activities include racket sports, soccer, track and field, aerobic activities such as running or jogging, jumping rope, or swimming laps. Negative physical activity includes social recreational dancing, walking, not for exercise, using an exercise machine like a strength training, bicycling, not for exercise, chores, fighting, competitive wrestling. We modeled repeated measures of minutes of physical activity per week, a positive PA per week, and we actually natural log transformed the values to assess the prospective relation to smoking. Negative PA served as a control variable, covariate. For cigarette smoking, our measure was derived from standard epidemiologic questions regarding smoking, such as, have you ever tried or experimented with cigarette smoking, even a few puffs? Have you smoked a cigarette in the past 30 days? This is an ordinal variable, ranging from never smoked, level 1 would be puff but did not smoke a whole cigarette. Then we have monthly smoking, weekly smoking, and then 5 and 6 are 2 different levels of daily smoking, so it really discriminates different levels of smoking very well. For data analysis, we use sequential processes growth mixture modeling. This is a latent variable mixture modeling method, combines categorical and continuous latent variables. Continuous latent variables model development on repeated observed measures, for example, PA and smoking. Categorical latent variables model unobserved classes on the latent continuous variables. SPGMM permits modeling relations among categorical latent variables, like for instance, whether PA predicts smoking status. SPGMM identifies the number of latent subpopulations on repeated measures of greater than or equal to 2 variables. Those are we call them joint classes. We propose that positive physical activity latent classes will be inversely related to smoking latent classes. We propose 2 latent classes for positive PA, high and low, and 2 latent classes for smoking, high and low, resulting in a total of 4 joint classes. So here's the relation between the categorical latent variables. So we have the physical activity latent classes predicting cigarette smoking latent classes, and there's 2 classes within each, and then 4 joint classes. We next characterize the joint classes on demographic, behavioral, and psychological covariates. We characterized the latent classes using multinomial logistic regression. Covariates were tested as predictors of the joint latent class variables, and our covariates included sex, ethnicity, pure smoking, positive Negative physical activity, TV and video game usage. So we ended up having, as I mentioned, 4 latent classes. Four classes, joint classes, high PA and low smoking, low PA, consistently high smoking, low PA and increasing smoking, and moderate PA and low smoking. Some descriptives: 21% of adolescents progressed along the smoking uptake continuum across the 4 years of high school. Minutes of physical activity decreased significantly over the same time period. So this is what would be expected. In terms of our logistic regression between, so this is a binary logistic regression between the 2 categorical variables. So in other words, does physical activity predict smoking classes? Again, they were both 2 levels. So belonging to the low PA latent class was associated with a 9-fold increase in the odds of being in the higher versus lower smoking latent class. This suggests a strong protective effect of physical activity and validates our 4 latent class model. So here's some figures. This is actually class 1, which is high PA and low smoking, and I didn't use this as the comparison class in the multinomial logistic regression because these individuals did smoke. So there was at least experimentation in smoking. So you can see this is going class 1 to class 4, and the top row and the second, this is going from time 1 to time 4, so this is freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year at the bottom. And physical activity decreased, although the levels were relatively higher. Class 2, so class 2 and 3 are the ones that had the highest smoking, since that's what we were interested in, obviously. Those are our primary classes, so low PA and consistently high smoking, class 2. So what you see here is that there's progression across time, mainly to daily smoking, which are the last 2 levels of smoking. So the biggest bar is for half a pack a day or less, and the last bar on the right is for more than a half pack or greater. And again, this is interesting. You had lower PA, but you had an upturn in the end there, so I'm not really sure what that means. Again, the different types of PAs were measured. So we have low PA and increasing smoking. This group had greater variability in their level of smoking over time. Again, there was progression towards daily smoking, essentially. And then we had a steeper decrease in physical activity. And then finally, our class 4, like the good kids, no smoking at all. So this is all never smokers, pretty much. And overall, pretty high level of PA, but it looks like it's seasonal. So they might be spring sport participants. There's fall, spring, so there's like an upturn. But again, a consistent decline, which is bad. So we use class 1 through 3. We're compared to class 4, which is our highest PA and low smoking. Comparisons were made using multinomial logistic regression, as I mentioned. So here's class 2 versus class 4. So class 2 had the highest level of smoking across time. There was a slight upturn in PA late in high school, mostly daily smokers by last follow-up. They tended to be more white. Everything's in comparison to group 4. More white, less likely to have PA support, less likely to have high PA expectations, more likely to engage in negative PA, and less likely to watch TV or play video games. In class 3, we had increasing smoking, but not as much daily smoking. There was a steep decline in PA over time. They tended to be more white, used alternative tobacco products, more negative PA, higher smoking expectations, and less likely to watch TV and play video games. So we need TV and video games. Class 1 participants, so this were the 2 classes that were pretty good in terms of smoking behavior. Class 1 participants were experimenting with cigarette smoking and slowly progressing. We had high, early, but declining PA. seem to have been influenced by environmental factors compared to class 4, and you can see that compared to class 4 they were more likely to have peers who smoke or household members who smoke and had higher expectations of smoking. So in sum, having greater reward expectations for smoking, for instance, I think smoking would be relaxing, was associated with increasing odds of belonging to all classes compared to class 4. Participants in alternative physical activities, such as skateboarding, participating in that was associated with an increase in the odds of being in class 2 and 3 compared to class 4, so the smoking classes. Using alternative tobacco products and having peers who smoke were both associated with an increase in the odds of belonging in class 2 and 3 versus class 4. And having support for PA from parents and peers and positive expectations of the benefits of PA were each associated with a decrease in the odds of belonging to class 2 and versus 4. 2 and 3 versus 4. This study, some limitations, the study employed self-reports of all behaviors, used paper and pencil surveying. We did not measure electronic cigarette use, it wasn't prevalent at that time. Did not model effects of covariates within each class, so we just did it across the classes. Our conclusions, the findings of this study suggest the existence of heterogeneity in the relation between smoking and PA, and that the best predictors of higher smoking and lower PA are smoking reward expectations and white ethnicity. Further, not all PA may be equally protective against smoking. Physical activities such as skateboarding may actually increase the odds of smoking. Greater research is needed, particularly to unlock why some physical activities may increase the risk of adolescent smoking. And finally, in terms of funding, the study was funded by a grant from NCI, and Janet Audrey-McGovern was the PI. I want to thank you very much, and I'm willing to take any questions at this time.